All right, everybody. Today is April 30th. Beautiful day today. Temperatures are probably in the 70s. The high is going to be mid to upper 70s, I think, and not too bad of winds. So enjoying that. In our last video, we were grafting queen cells. That was 8 days ago. And today we're going through this yard and prepping our splits to take off tomorrow, because the queen cells we grafted in the last video are going to be ready to be harvested and placed into a split tomorrow. So I figured I would show the process that I've been using to prep my splits and make them and all that stuff. So far the colonies have been averaging probably about 8 or so frames of brood. And what I'm doing is I'm leaving the parent colony in the bottom box with 3 frames of brood, and then any excess I'm dividing up into splits in these nuke boxes. And when I make a split into the nuke box, they're getting 2 frames of brood and 2 frames of food. That can be honey and or pollen, mostly honey. So with them averaging about 8 or so frames, I'm getting 2.5 or 3 splits off of each colony. So that's adds up quick. And kind of what I like about doing it that way is kind of gets everything uniform. It's a way to kind of equalize everything, get everything the same. And then hopefully they'll all build up the same. And if they don't, like if one's lagging behind, that kind of indicates that there may be something wrong or poor queen or something like that. So just a good way to equalize everything, I kind of think. So let's get into one and I'll show y'all what I'm doing. So, like I said earlier, I'm wanting to leave the queen in the bottom box with the parent colony with 3 frames of brood. And when I take my splits off, I need to ensure that she's not in one of those boxes. So, using this process, I don't have to see her, but if I do, it makes it a lot easier. But if I don't, what I'm going to do is shake all the bees off the frames in this top box into the bottom one, and then I'll put a queen excluder over that bottom box, and that'll ensure that the queen is stuck down here. And then overnight the bees are going to come up through that queen excluder to cover up the brood and other frames that are in this top box. And then tomorrow morning I'm going to come along and take all these away as splits, and these will be knocked back down to a single story colony. And what has helped me a little bit so far, every time I mark a queen, I'll put that same mark on the lid of the box, so I know if the queen in there is marked or not. And if she is, the color will tell me how old she is. So like yellows from last year, 2022. And anytime I come across one with a white dot, which would be 2021, I'm getting rid of that queen because she's too old to be real productive. And the older a queen gets, seems like the more they want to swarm. Seems like that's all they want to do. So any white dot queens get the hive tool test, and then that box will get a queen cell tomorrow. First thing is, I'm popping these feeders out. This is unrelated to the splitting, but I'm actually going to switch everything over to 2-gallon feeders, whereas these are 1 gallon. So popping these out, tossing them to the side. Some open drone brood. Don't see any mites. Alright, got to the first good brood frame. I'm quickly glancing for the queen, but like I said earlier, if I don't see her, no big deal. So I'm going to count that as one. There's two, and there's the queen. Big yellow dot. So I'm going to set her back here by herself so I know where she's at. And that's 2 frames of brood, the one she's on. There's 3. So any excess I'm going to take. And since I found the queen, makes it super easy. Store the extra in this nuke box until I've got a good count of how many there is total. There's another good one for a split. Now we'll count the brood frames in this box. That's the food. Make a good split frame. Oh, we got a little bit of brood. Here's one. There's 2, 3. That's very little. So we got 3 solid ones. So we got 3 solid brood frames and then 2 partials, so that'll work good for 2 splits. And then I've also got the excess from the bottom over here in a split. And over in the pickup, I got some frames of honey and open comb, just stuff you need when you're making splits. So here I've got a frame with one side that's open comb and the other side is honey. I'll use that to finish this split out, or this nuke. And then since I know the queen is over there by herself, I'm going to shake 1 or 2 frames of bees in there. So that nuke is done. Put the queen back where she was. Since I'm going to go back with the 2-gallon feeder, I'm going to shove all these to one side to make room for it. But I'm not doing that till later on, so. But it'll be within the next few days when I make it back around to put them in there. And we don't have a honey flow going on, so they won't be building comb over there. So to keep her down there, put this queen excluder on. Oops. Put top box back on. So now let's make our 2 splits up here. Now let's work through this top box and set up our 2 splits. And as I said before, they're going to have 2 frames of brood each and then 2 frames of food each. And then the 5th frame will already be in the nuc. It's just going to be a foundation frame for them to draw out. So right here I got 3 solid brood frames, and then right here is a partial. So I'll put this partial with the best looking one to kind of offset it, and then the other 2 will go together as well. So there's a food right there. Pretty good brood frame. This one's mostly eggs, a little bit of capped. That one's pretty good. I think that one's the best, so I'm going to put this partial. Got a bunch of eggs over here. I'm going to put it with the best looking capped brood frame. And then a honey. And then there's our 2 splits there. So I set them up half and half in the box. That way they're already arranged the way I want them. They're ready to go. So in the morning I'll just pop the lid and I'll take these 4 and put them in a box. Same with those, and I'm done. And with the bottom box having all the frames over to this side, I'm going to do the same with these, just so the bees it's easier for them to cluster and cover all the frames. That way I'll hopefully get a nice even split in the morning. So there we go, that one's done. Time to move on and get through the rest of them. Now if I wouldn't have found the queen, I would have used this box to kind of sort through. So I would have grabbed a frame from down here, shaken it on top of this bottom box, and then set it into this one. And I've done that over and over and over, and I would have set my splits up in this box. And then once all the bees were shaken off, this box would have went right here. So that just shows, finding the queen makes it a lot easier, but if you don't find her, there's still a way to do it. So I will bring y'all back in the morning when we're taking them frames out, putting them in the nucs, and taking them to the mating garden. Well, we're back the next day. I'm about to take these splits off the colonies. Got my nuc boxes all laid out, ready to start filling them up with bees. It's a cool, cloudy morning today, and it was light rain earlier this morning. So all the bees are covering the brood up top pretty good. And they're just a little bit lethargic due to the conditions, but if you bump them or mess with them, they're a little cranky at the same time. So you got to deal with that. And I guess we can do a shot before. All right, let's see what we got. good bit of bees still down here, so I might try to shake another frame out of them. As long as I don't see the queen. I don't see her. Well, don't see her. Double check, triple check. Sometimes it's still not enough. Alrighty. That one's done. Pretty quick, easy, and simple. But I usually don't shake frames from the bottom like that, but there seem to be plenty of bees still in the bottom, and those splits look like they could use another shake of bees, so that's why I did it. Time to load them up. And after. Got them all taken off, loaded up, knocked back down to single stories. Those 3 colonies that got a second box, that's where my queen cells are. Those are my cell builders, so can't take that top box yet. I took the splits out of there, but gotta leave the box there until I harvest the cells, which will be later today after I get all these girls put out in their places. Got a short, probably a couple mile drive. But the roads and the terrain that I gotta go across is real rough and bumpy, so I always strap them down real good, even for a short drive. But I'll bring y'all back when I get there. Alrighty. Here we are at one of my mating yards. Got them all put out. While they're all getting settled in, I'm gonna go back and get the queen cells, and I'll be back to pop one in each box. I don't know if y'all can see all them white boxes up through there, but we got 30 here right now, and I'll be adding to it in the coming days. So let's go get some queen cells. So what I'm doing is putting these queen cells in this little, it's called a carry cell, but it's just a way to transport queen cells and keep them warm. And I'm putting all these cells in a cell protector. Keeps the bees from destroying them and tearing them down if they don't like them for some reason. Anything to give me better odds of getting the queen. These aren't the best looking cells, but I suppose they will do for now. So it's important at this stage of the cell's development to handle them with extra care. You don't want to bump them or drop them or anything like that. And you want to keep them oriented like this. You don't want to turn them upside down or anything. Don't shake them. That's why you saw earlier I was using the bee brush to get the bees off. You can't shake the frame or you risk damaging the queen inside there. Right now she's a pupa in the later stages of development. Well, there's all the cells. Looks like I'm going to be just a few short. Needed 72, I believe, for this round. So hopefully I have one last round to do in the next couple days. Hopefully I got some extras in that bunch and I'll just use them that way. But this yard my grafts had a poor take. I even grafted an additional 26 cells because the take was so bad the first time. Looks like I needed to regraft some more because I'm still short. Oh well, we'll do what we can to make it work. So a lot of people, when they're placing cells, they'll just hang them from the top bar here. And I like doing that because it's super easy and fast. But 2 years ago I did that and we had a terrible cold snap right after I put the cells in the nukes. And the bees didn't tend to the cells when it got cold because they were more concerned with keeping all their brood warm down below it. So a lot of them abandoned the cell and let it get chilled. So then it was no good. And that happened to a lot of them that year. So ever since then I've been gun shy to do it, to hang them from the top bars. That would look like you could just move the frame over and then stick it in there like that. Super fast and easy, but like I said, I got burned that 1 year and I've been hesitant to do it ever since. You can watch the forecast, but that don't mean nothing these days. The weatherman's always wrong, so don't trust them. But I think putting it in the brood like that will ensure that the bees take good care of it. And throughout the process, I've said it over and over and over, there's lots of little things that take more work that I do. Just, it makes me feel like it gives me better chances of getting queens back. So that's why I'm doing it. Well, folks, there you have it. Got all the cells put out. Carry cells empty. So now all we do is wait and hope for good weather for the queens to fly in. So today is day 13 since the egg that she came from would have been laid. and they'll emerge on day 16, so 3 days from now. And then after she emerges, it'll take her 2 to 4 days for her exoskeleton to harden before she can even fly outside. And then when that happens, she'll take a day or two to take some orientation flights. That way she can learn where her hive is and she'll know where to come back to. And then after that, she can go on her mating flights pending weather. Mostly wind is the biggest factor, because if it's too windy, she can't get out and fly far enough to mate. And worst case scenario, she does get out and fly, and maybe the wind gets up and then blows her off track and she can't find home, and she's never able to make it back. So that's worst case scenario. I think had a lot of that last year because it was terribly windy. Had some that didn't make it back, and then a lot of them just didn't get mated because it was windy every single day. But anyway, not to get off on that, but positive thoughts for this year. So with all that being said, the queen would start laying in 10 to 14 days. 10 days would really be pushing it. I doubt any would be laying by then, but 2 weeks should be a few to several start laying eggs by then. I'll probably give them plenty of time. I may check them all in like 3 weeks or something, or I may spot check some earlier and see what's going on. But the worse the weather, the longer it'll take, and the better the weather, the sooner they can start. So for all of y'all who watched the video, I hope it was somewhat interesting. And if you watched to the very end, I sure appreciate it. And the next video in this little series will probably be checking the nukes for queen mating success. We'll be checking for eggs and brood and stuff like that. But like I just mentioned, that's going to be a while from now. So there's going to be something between now and then, I'm sure, that I video. So whatever comes out next, I hope to see y'all there. So as for me, I'm out of here. See y'all.